Okay, we are here with Paul Harris with Aurora Multimedia. Paul, how's it going? How's ISE Day 3 treating you so far?
It's going very well. I tell you how it's treating me so far, but I haven't been in my own booth yet. So I've been traveling around everywhere else doing these type of interviews and things like that.
So it's definitely got to be good then. If you're
As
getting
far,
out and seeing the people, yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, it's fantastic, even though I don't know.
So Paul, like we were talking about beforehand, this is really geared towards the North America higher AV community. So can you kind of give us a little background, kind of what Aurora has, how you guys fit into our space?
So we do control automation. We do AV over IP, 1 gig and 10 gig. We do video processing units, unified communication, DSP processors. We do 4x4, 8x8, 16 and higher. And we got a new card cage one coming out, which
Oh,
you have
nice.
to take a look at.
Nice.
And I got some other new toys that people are gonna like to see and use. And so once again, we're gonna change the typology of AV.
That's wonderful because that's the one constant about our industry, right? Things continually change. You cannot stay static at all. Like I know right now we're kind of moving away from the age of the massive black boxes to the AV over IP solutions that we're especially seeing, especially the great booth tour that you gave with Joe the other day.
Thank you.
That was great, and we're all really excited about what's coming up. So, kind of, what are you seeing? What are you feeling about like how the evolution of the signal transport market is going to go? Are we going to kind of continue to expand on AV over IP, or are we going to be moving to something completely different one day? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it will be with AV over IP for a while. I think you're going to see, look, I'm part of HD-based T also, but I think the reality is it took time to acclimate to AV over IP. From a cost perspective, HD-based T is still the better way to go. From a latency perspective, HD-based T has no latencies. But, because even with the 10 gigs, you got a little bit of latency in there, but nothing significant. But as people understand it more, and this is what I always tell people, right product for the right application. And in most cases, whether it's higher ed or whatever, the 1 gig and the 10 gig solutions are more than adequate and do the job perfect, and they're expandable. That's one of the beautiful things about it is you're not trapped into, I need this product, I need that product, I need this product. It's, I got to switch, and based on how you configure the boxes, determines on what it's going to do.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, the flexibility is key, right? I mean, we're all used to having rooms, but now they're evolving at a very rapid pace. So you could have a space that hasn't been touched in a couple of years, and then a new faculty member starts, and like, oh, I want to be able to do more active learning in here. So now you have to spin up additional displays or projection around the room. And used to, you just had to, invest in a lot of expensive infrastructure to make that happen. Now you need a data outlet and a power outlet, and you're off and running at that point.
Yeah. So it's definitely made it cleaner in some ways, but you have to have network knowledge. We find that there's a large expectation of us supporting the switch configurations. So even though we don't make the switch, we get kind of pushed into that position because they're still learning it. I usually recommend to anybody, if you're going to do AV over IP, always make certain that you have a good understanding of the switch. I also recommend let the AV integrator, if they're doing it, be in charge of the switch. Let them separate it from your own network and your own switch typologies. You want one person liable for everything. Otherwise, it becomes a lot more difficult to support. It doesn't mean the two systems can't talk to each other. It just has more about of the formalities of where you're putting the responsibilities for when you want to get through something. I know in a lot of cases, some of the colleges like to do it themselves. Similar thing, just make sure you have somebody who really understands the network, because it's the little things that usually get you.
Yeah, I know, and it's I think that's again kind of touching on that evolution. AV pros are really starting to have to get that in-depth knowledge on networking and topology. Like 3-4 years ago, I was saying, no, I'm not a network person. I don't want any part of that. Now I'm like, I've got to have that knowledge in my back pocket, otherwise I'm completely sunk. So it's definitely been an interesting change and a welcome change, but you're absolutely right. Like having that network background is a big plus these days.
Well, one of the things we've been doing in our company is you can make a lot of products, right, that are all cool. And we always try to make products that are innovative and different. That's our thing. And that's our slogan, changing the typology of AV. So we always want to take it another step and then try to be a leader in that and solve problems. But the other thing you need is education. So recently we hired Chuck Espinoza, who was working for Avixa. Also Marcus, who also used to work with him as well. So we got that nice education team inside our company. And their job isn't just to teach them about Aurora product and to train and create coursework and CTS credits. Their job is also to educate on the implementation in the system itself. So you'll see a lot more education stuff coming out of us related to network setup, do's and don'ts. So for example, one thing I've been seeing a lot of, which is, speaking of higher ed and thing, is they'll replace a lot of things, but they'll leave the projector, for example.
Yeah.
Big mistake. Because what a lot of people don't realize is the little things will get you. So let's say you put in a brand new 4K screen. Okay, great. You got this new AV over IP network. You bring in an Apple laptop. Well, Apple negotiates at 2.2 HDCP. You got this old projector, may work great, may have great brightness, may not look like it even needs to be replaced. But then it's only running HDCP 1.4. Because a lot of times the projectors are only 1080p. They're not doing the 4K projectors in most cases. Now what do? Can't fix it.
Yeah, you're sunk at that point.
Yeah. So one of the things we've been starting to work on a lot is putting more messages in our systems to alert people when those things happen that normally you'd be like, why is the screen black? I don't know. Because the computer's not going to tell you there's an incompatibility. The network switch can't tell you it. So who's going to tell you that's why it's happening? So one of the things that I've told my programmers they need to do right now is do the things that make it known why this or that's not working. For example, Dante usually doesn't do Dolby over Dante. Let them know. You got Dolby coming in, you're trying to send that over Dante, this is why you have no audio. Or you're trying to downmix when it's not allowed. Or you're doing this or that. So we're putting a lot more things that make it self-intuitive as to it's not going to necessarily solve the problem, but at least it explains this is why it's happening. And then at least they know they need to find out from the professional what can they do to alleviate that problem. You'd be surprised at how much time people waste on things like that.
And you know what? I love that you guys are taking that approach, because that's one of the, I wouldn't say frustrating, but definitely one of the things that I've been noticing lately is that people are trying to skip the fundamentals and move straight into like a specialization. You really need to take that time and build that ground floor, so to speak, of your knowledge base, so that you can maybe anticipate and get ahead of those problems like dealing with HDCP or bad EDID settings right out of the gate. So.
Yeah. And the important thing that I always tell everybody is test the product out first. Don't be pressured into buying a product. Look, manufacturers never go to a trade show and say, this is my worst. You know? What do? They put up the cartoons to say, look at the colors, and they do all the fun tricks that they do, and they don't always tell the whole story of the little things that'll get you. Do shootouts. Yeah, as a company, I like those things. Yeah, because I usually win most of them, so I don't mind it. But that's the fun of it, is if you're going to build a product, your job as the person building it is to build a better mousetrap. If you can't, then you got to go back into the lab and do better and make the best person win. So you can't be afraid to have the shootouts. You got to be willing to make that commitment. If you really, really believe in your product, you got to be willing to put it to the test and show them that it's going to deliver on it. So that's another thing that we do is, it may sound aggressive. It's not really so much about being aggressive. It's about doing the right thing. See what you're getting. No surprises. Put it to the test. And sometimes we don't do everything that people want. And we're like, what is it that you want it to do? Okay, I'll make it happen. And then we write firmware, and next thing you know, it's doing it. I've done that a lot of times where we'll make things that it wasn't originally intended to do, but they had a need for it. And if it seemed reasonable, just make it happen. We're pretty nimble like that. We got our own assembly lines. We got our own programmers. We're not a cloning company. Like you'll see a lot of companies out there where they'll just buy something from like one of the Asian countries like China or Taiwan or whatever, and they slap their name on it and they make it their own. There's tons of those out there. I'm not going to call them out. That's their own thing. You know how it is because you'll see the two same products with different silk screens on.
Yeah, exactly.
No originality. It doesn't help the industry. Hurts the industry. They can't really adapt and support the products the way you think it is, but they make their quick buck. It's not about making a quick buck. It's a matter of you got to do everything. You got to make a good quality product, back it with a good warranty. In our case, we do 5 years, and then you got to back it with what you're saying. Let them test it, let them compare it against it, answer the questions, and be upfront about it, and then be original. That's the one thing I love is no one's original anymore, and I think it takes away sometimes. We like to be original.
I love that. So kind of thinking about through your products and the higher ed market, like what do you think you guys have in your portfolio that best fits what the average university would need in their learning spaces?
Oh wow, I got a few of those.
Okay.
Aside from the control systems, we have a unified communication. It's called an IPX-UC1 Ultra. It's on our website. It's going to be shipping in a few weeks. It's like, I can't even say it right now in the whole interview, so go online, www.auroramm.com. Why put www in front of it? I have no idea.
It's
you
okay.
guys know what I'm talking about. But habit.
You know, I'm a firm believer that human civilization peaked in the 90s, and we were all saying www in the 90s, so it's totally welcome here.
You know, I always tell myself I got to stop doing that, and I keep doing it still no matter what. But no, the information's on it, but it's an all-in-one unified communication processor. So it's got a quad scaler built into it for 4K 60, 444. It could do windowing. It's got SDVUE in it with full bi-direction into the processor. It's got a full NUC 12th gen Intel processor with up to 1 terabyte i7 processor.
Wow.
Yeah, it could do edge blending, 1 degree image rotation, video all modes, contrast edge blending for side-by-side projectors, transparencies. I mean, our slogan is, it does everything.
I would say you have not mentioned anything that I cannot think that it doesn't already do.
We're even putting we're looking at putting a bottle opener on that. I'm not even joking.
Oh.
It seemed funny because we were doing everything else. Like, yeah, it's got a bottle opener too.
That's perfect. You know, after you get done installing it and supporting it, you get to, have a little beverage at the end of the day.
Exactly. So, but non-alcoholic, of course.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
We can't promote that stuff. But yeah, no. So if you ever see a bottle opener in it, now you know why, because we like to be funny, stupid. What can I tell you?
I'll let you know, if you can't have a little bit of fun with this, why do it, right?
Yeah, it comes from the top. I'm the big child in the company, so we get our job done, but we try to have a good time while doing it. So look, it doesn't have to be super stressful. We're supposed to enjoy what we do for a living. Try to enjoy it,
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so that's one product. I tell you more detail about it, but that would make this thing. It's literally take me like 15 minutes to go through it. It does a lot, Another product that we're not officially showing at the show, but it's on the sideline. But keep an eye out for it. It's a little desktop 4-inch with the beamforming Dante microphone.
Oh yes, I saw that in the booth the other day. That looks amazing.
Yep, I finally got the patent submitted for that, and it was got to protect the intellectual property because this one's a good one.
Yes, it is.
And we're dividing up the panel across every user and putting a beamforming microphone right in front of them. Cleans everything up. Voting's built into it. Raising hand features, connecting up with Bluetooth, NFC. Answering questions, name, seating, placement, tagging, everything. It really, and we'll have a wireless version of it too, going to be huge in education as far as that's concerned. So it's a game changer. No one's ever made a product like this. So that's one of the products. The other one you got to see at Infocom. I got another game changer for video distribution.
Okay.
Let's just say I'll give you a clue.
Okay.
I like to tease. It's AV over IP, but not behaving like AV over IP.
Okay.
At a price point of HD-based T. And that's all I'm going to say at this point. So you got to see a new type of distribution that I'm going to show at Infocom. So you got to come to Infocom to see that.
We'll be there. We'll be staying. We'll stay tuned and be ready to go for it whenever you're ready to show it to us. Yep. So Paul, how can folks find you and get a hold of you?
AuroraMM.com. Remember that time not to say the www, although technically I just did it.
It's okay. We can fix it in post. It's cool. So Paul, thank you very much for your time today. It's been great chatting with you, and we'll definitely be staying tuned for the Infocom announcements coming out.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.